is your thoughts on dealerships and where they can save money moving forward. Something they should not cut, something they should cut. John, I'll start with you, and then Chris, I'll ask you the same question.
I would never cut training, but that's the first thing they cut. I mean, that's the lifeblood of the business is training. And I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, I've probably been in 40,000 dealerships all over North America, and it will come back. And then, but what happens is people get just too complacent. They wait for the ups. They wait. I see it all the time, and that's what happens. But you got to get into the relationship game. If you're not in the relationship game, you will be dead. Like, you have to build a business within the business. It's nothing new. It's not complicated. It's about building relationships, taking care of your customer. So when they're thinking about a car, then they will think of you. Period. That's it.
Now, John, how do you think the training is going to change? I mean, a lot of dealerships are, a lot of customers' confidence is not overly high right now. So customers are choosing or demanding, in some cases, to do more of this virtually versus in person, which for the most part, all of our training for years, and I've been trained for years, has all been about having that person in front of you so that you can make that connection. How do you think that changes things moving forward?
Like, for the next few months, you might have to do these type of Zoom little meetings with your customer. You can go meet your customer, but if there's no relationship, you're done, because you're just waiting for someone that you don't know. And if it's someone that you don't know, it's the hardest customer to sell, because you're going to grind you on the price. What about this? What about that? I'm not sure. I'm checking around. So what they should have done over the last 4 years is built up a little base, and talk to their people, connect with their people, call their people, call their people once every couple of months. Look, I was just thinking about you. How you doing? How's everything? That's how Ali Reda does it. That's how Damien Boudreau does it. And then even with the Dwayne, like, we teach that part of it. And I stopped when maybe 4 years ago, our seminars were ahead of the curve, because our seminar in Canada that I do with Dwayne's called Never Depend on Lot Traffic Again. That's what it's called. I said, look, we're not teaching road to the sale. We're not teaching how to close car deals. We're going to teach how to build a business within the business, how to make yourself the product, right? So that's critical. That should never stop. And that's why I love going on the road. That's why I love going to the cities, because I am an advocate for the salesperson. And every salesperson has greatness in them. It's there for them. They have to work on their skill. They have to work on their game. And that's my job and your job, to sell the dealer to continue to do that. So
No, I agree with you. Look, creating a relationship now is more important than it ever has in the past. The key thing, though, and I'm finding with a lot of dealerships, is that we have to create that relationship the way the customer wants to create that relationship, not the way that we necessarily want to do so. If the customer wants to communicate and connect on Instagram, chat, they should be able to do that. If they want to,
that's transactional, right?
that's
Yeah.
if they want a Facebook Messenger with somebody, they should be able to Facebook Messenger. I'm still blown away that it's 2020, guys, and on all of our automotive website solutions out there, from a form fill perspective, only ask for email and phone number. Like, you guys communicated with me, like calling me or email, that ain't gonna happen. You LinkedIn message me, because that's where I pretty much spend 95% of my time. But before we go on to the next topic, Chris, I want to go back to you, and from a cost savings perspective. All right, a lot of dealerships are looking and trying to figure out, what do they cut, what do they don't cut. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, I happen to agree, John, with you 100%. It is about relationships, and the customer satisfaction numbers of 2019 tanked. In fact, they had customers angry at customer experience and that type of thing. And why is that? Because they fell in line with instant gratification of live leads. People sitting in the short buying cycle, and it progressed to where many of them were all in that. And it's a very expensive method, but it's instant gratification. Now, I'm a proponent of relationships with your local community residents. Now, I have this funny story. Okay, there's a car buyer out there. Jim decides he wants to buy a car. Jim goes to Google and searches for the car he wants. Jim gets extracted and sold to a local dealership as a live lead. The people within the dealership call, email, and court Jim. Jim buys a new car. Jim lives next door to the dealership. Okay. Now, dealerships used to be built in the center of town. They were a architectural icon, a little progressive for each town, and they opened up to the local community. Now, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley with Galpin Ford. Yeah. When the new models would come in, there would be searchlights crossing over the sky. I mean, it was like Disneyland, okay? You'd stop by there and you'd talk to your salesman buddy. You'd have coffee. At 9 at night, you would stop by and talk to your salesman buddy, okay? Every family had a doctor, had an accountant, and had a car dealer. Now, every time there was a question about a car, even if it was what I got, where do I get a new gas cap? They called their buddy. When it was time to buy a car, it was already made. The decision was already made. Okay, that is what my 2020 Dealer of Choice program is all about. Now, if you go back to that time and you look at numbers spent on marketing and number of cars sold, it kicks our ass today in regard to customer acquisition costs. Okay, so I am a proponent of relationships in a big way. I'm a proponent of the car dealer being a friend of the family, and that's what my program is going to. The channel delivery to the community is my magazine, Auto Life, as a content marketing magazine going into each of their mailboxes, speaking completely about the dealership and their manufacturer. Quit spending all that money every month to get live leads and then figure out what to do. I mean, you're just chasing a dream. You got to recreate the wheel every time you find a new customer. Ridiculous. So at any rate, now I have friends that are digital marketing folks. Jason, I've felt bad so many times. I've felt bad so many times because I see your point. I'm all, no way. And I get on, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I might have just said something wrong. So I have to go to Messenger and go, Jason, I'm sorry. But the reality is, there's so many things like my other business, LinkedIn Executive. Proliferation of the personal brand. I've been a brand developer for 4 decades. Guess what's missing from the personal brand? The brand. It's nothing more than a social media strategy. So everybody's all whacked out in this world as far as I'm concerned. You need to get back to good old-fashioned relationships.